Hey guys, welcome back to Young Americans Abroad. My name is Austin.
And my name is Patrick.
And guys, welcome back to our show.
Yeah, we got AVT and PAT. They talking about young Americans overseas. We got McKinney, Pulisic, Reyna, and Des. Got that red, white, and blue. USA on the crest from England, Germany, from Belgium to Spain. Racking up all the medals on the trophy train. Got one thing on their mind, we're skilling some love. One day we can say we will win the World Cup.
Well, guys, we're so excited to be back today. I know we got a big episode for you and a lot to cover, right, Pat? I know going into the weekend there was a lot of this going on, right? But our players, rose to the occasion.
Oh yeah, a lot of chatter, but we're tuning it out, right? Like the pie, we're tuning that out. We had just the drama, right, with the coaching situation. We have the January camps we'll get into, but a lot of that talking, right? The players performed this past week. That's all that really matters, Austin.
That's right. Yeah, there were so many great performances, so many goals, so many assists. It was it was a sight to see. And, again, it kind of, silenced all those haters out there.
That's exactly what our players wanted to do. And that's what we as fans want, right? Want to perform. That's what we want to hear. It's the last one, right? We just completed the Gio quadrant there, guys. So that's how we're starting off this episode with a bang. And we have a lot to talk about. I guess that's our first topic, Austin, kind of pivoting.
Yeah, let's go right into it.
Gio Reyna coming on substitute, right, for Adeyemi. Crazy intense game with Augsburg, 3-3. Just no defense.
Back and forth, man. Yeah.
Back in the Bundesliga. And Reyna comes on and scores that banger. Walk me through that, Austin. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I felt really good. Obviously seeing that that whole sequence. But yeah, I mean that was just you always see those not always, but you see special moments from Gio, right? You think back to his first goal against Werder Bremen where he just had that insane shot to the top right corner. And this was something similar, right? You could feel it, right? When the ball came to him, he kind of stepped by a player or was able to kind of get by and set up that shot. Once he took it on the volley, you're like, oh my goodness, this is going to go in.
Yeah.
And then it did. And yeah, again, it was a huge goal, right? Because Dortmund were tied 3-3 with Augsburg at the time. And like we said, it was a pretty crazy game, not much defense going on. And I believe it was in the 75th minute or so, right? So pretty late on.
Much longer after he subbed in.
Yeah, it was actually the 78th minute. And yeah, again, it gave them the go-ahead goal. And obviously a lot of fuel to, the fire for Gio. Again, this being his first opportunity to really, showcase his talent and show people that, he belongs, in our USMNT, going forward. And, he belongs at Dortmund. He belongs, playing at the highest level possible. So,
yeah. Pretty good goal for a, pretty solid player there. So that pretty critical for Dortmund in the standings. Obviously Bayern's running away a bit, but Dortmund's still right there. It's a really tight race, I would say, with Union Berlin and the rest of them in the top 5 or 6 spots there. So that was a really pivotal win to kickstart for Dortmund. And gosh, Austin, I just can't stop thinking about that celebration. And I know we were talking about it, right? Just kind of everybody on social media talking like, oh, like that's the Berhalter, right? He mentioned, we don't have a Memphis Depay, Champions League player scoring goals. And then, there are all these things flying around, right? Who that was directed at. So I want to definitely hear from your take. I'm just thinking off the bat here in my mind is, and it was funny to see Bellingham right next to him. If you guys didn't catch on the clip, Bellingham was going like this to the crowd too. So I think it's just been a lot of talk. Maybe it's from Greg, maybe it's from his parents, right? There's just a lot around him and he just wants to get on the pitch, perform. He did that. He wants to put this to rest, put this to bed, stop all the chatter, look at me in the field, I'm performing. And you can even tell that grizzly facial hair. He just looks older, more mature maybe. I'm thinking he's turning a new leaf. and hopefully we are too. And Greg's gone, but that's why I'm ending it up. What were your thoughts? Did you think it was a little bit immature? Did you think that was like the right celebration? I want to get your thoughts on how you think Gio is feeling.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on it, and actually think back to something someone said on Twitter, and I apologize for who it was, but someone, tweeted going into this game that, it would really show if Gio came out and looked very nonchalant and didn't have too much passion. It would almost signify that he didn't really, learn anything from this whole process and wasn't motivated by it. And I think you saw the exact opposite, right? Like, he played pretty passionate in the time he was on the pitch, and obviously the goal and celebration, really proved that passion, and really showed it off. So, I really liked it. So yeah, I'll say that first and foremost. I do think it was a little over the top, right? And I was actually texting you, Pat, over the weekend. I mean, he made it a point. He did it about 4 times or so.
It wasn't one, Austin. It was 4 different ones. So.
4 different celebrations, and I think he literally did like all of them 4 different times too. So
he was hitting the X, Y, A, B button on his remote.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't have a problem with it. So I want to say that I just think, again, he almost made that moment exactly fully about him, right? He wanted to make sure everyone saw that he was, clapping back at whoever it may be, whether it's Berhalter, or, all of his doubters, things like that, which, again, he feels passionately in the moment, right? He's still a young player and someone who wants to make a statement. So I don't think it's a problem, but I think it also just showed that, maybe he needs to just, again, let his play do the talking, right? You can make some of those gestures and celebrate, but at the end of the day, he can only, play on the field and use his play, use his actions to show what, people are missing out on and why he deserves a chance. So I don't know. Maybe I'm getting too old now and starting to, act like an old person. And
we're not that old, guys, Austin. We're in our prime.
Yeah.
No, but
what do you think, Pat?
I definitely see your point. I think it was a bit much, but at the same time, I guess part of me liked to see it kind of stir up, and just kind of like
I love to see it.
A moment too,
yeah.
and I know you equate back to some of the immature moments where he's throwing his arms up, and still keep in mind he just turned 22, and his on the field actions, his actions at the World Cup, not condoning that at all. That's not the right way to go about it, but. He performed with his minutes, got a tremendous goal, helped win the game. That's really all you can ask for. So at that point, I mean, all the emotions are probably just coming out, right? Celebrating with the crowd, everything that you've been through behind the scenes. We don't know all that's going on. There's still an investigation, right? So for a whole situation, there's just so much going on. So I guess, again, I'm circling back and not to repeat too much on my point, but I think it's just been so much chatter, right, that he doesn't want to hear any of it. But, I just want to play football. Bellingham's, chirping too.
There's been a lot of talk around him as well.
A lot of talk around him, but
for better reasons. But
yeah, I think that's all I see it. And now I just really hope that he stays healthy, Austin, right? And Dortmund can continue to climb, secure that Champions League spot or even push Bayern a little bit more. But yeah, we just need to see Reyna healthy because he needs to get back to being that consistent starter. We saw so many times before he's had these horrible injuries how good he can be. And it's just tough, right? It's just tough to kind of see these setbacks, right? Christian's having or other players in our pool are having, where we just know with the attitude problems and things like that of the past, Reyna's talent is you're seeing what he's doing at Dortmund and you're looking back at maybe the moments Pulisic had at Dortmund. I think Reyna could very well surpass him at the Dortmund level and stay healthy. He could really go on to do something special and be maybe one of our best players ever.
Yeah, I fully agree. And I think that's the biggest thing for him right now is putting together a healthy spring and showing people what he can do, right? It's been a little while now with these injuries. He hasn't had that consistent playing time. So yeah, I think that's what he needs to focus on. And, if this passion and, situation he's found himself in now can kind of help him channel some of this, his talent and showcase his skills, I think that's a win-win for everyone, right? Win-win for us and win-win for him. So
exactly. But I guess we should pivot, right, Austin, to another player.
Not in Europe.
Not in Europe, yeah. In Europe, guys, in Liga MX, and that's Zendejas, who we really haven't mentioned too much on the show, Austin, Alejandro Zendejas. So the 24, almost 25-year-old, the next few weeks is his birthday, right winger for Club America, also been swirled in some controversy. A little bit different, but it's really boiled down to the Mexican Federation, right, in the U.S., and who's going to commit to. There were some problems with the one-time switch where I guess Mexico, I don't know the exact reports of what happened, but I think Gomez mentioned it, and Football Americas, they were mentioning that I guess they were kind of pressuring him to sign the papers, ended up fielding him, an eligible player for some of the friendlies. Now Mexico's federation is fined for that. One of the many mistakes they've made as a federation as of recent history. Little shot at them there. But awesome. Yeah, just interesting with the swirling around there. And now you see Zendejas shift over back to the U.S. in this Camp Cupcake per se, which we'll get into later in the episode. But yeah, interesting player, Austin. He's really come to form. A little bit of a late bloomer, in my opinion, right? He started with FC Dallas, bounced around a little bit at Liga MX, and found his home in Club America. And really in the last maybe year and a half has really blown up and blossomed here at the club. So yeah, I want to get your thoughts, see if you're really excited about him being potentially part of the U.S. fold. They see him as that impact player right away, or even committing to us. What are your thoughts around this player?
Yeah, I find it so interesting that some of these players that, were on the same, U17, U20 teams with Christian Pulisic are now starting to turn a new leaf with the national team, right? Haji. You see Haji, Luca De La Torre, even as someone I believe that played with Christian back then. Brandon Vasquez, also another player too, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So yeah, I'm really intrigued by these developments, and I think Alejandro Zendejas is another good quality player from what it looks like. I think the one caveat is it's a little hard at times to get a good read on how players from Liga MX translate to international football, right? I think again, from our American perspective and looking back at another dual nat who came from that league that unfortunately missed out on was Jonathan Gonzalez, right? So back in 2017, 2018, young dual nat who came through for, I can't even remember what team it was now, Monterrey, maybe.
I think it was.
Maybe not. Now I'm second guessing myself,
America.
But no, it was not America. But no, regardless, another young player from the same league, and was one that we were super excited about. Was playing really well, right? One of the best D mids for a good chunk of 6 to 8 months in the league, and then all of a sudden chose Mexico. It was good for another 6 to 8 months as well, but after that really fell off a cliff, and haven't really heard from him since. So. I think that's harsh to look at that one case and translate that out for all players in Liga MX. But I think the reason I'm saying that is I'm going to be a little cautious, right? I'm excited for his call up to the USMNT. I think there's a lot of qualities he provides as a wide midfielder. That'd be great for us, including some of his shooting skills, right? He scored a great goal over the weekend off a nice shot. He looks like he's playing very confidently right now, and he plays very aggressive playing style too, right? He's someone who likes to get after it and get up and down the pitch. He's not afraid to put in a good shift. So I'm excited for to see more of him, but I think time will tell, right? We've got a lot of starting quality players right now in the national team. When you think about wide midfielder, right? You think about Tim Weah, you think about Christian Pulisic, Brendan Aronson, even Gio Reyna. Obviously there's, all the, drama around him or mystery at the moment. But I think he's, a great option and someone that, we should definitely give a look here in, this camp coming up.
Yeah, completely agree. I think, like you said, with the skill and the goal he scored, his ability to shift and just how agile he is and technical, from the right wing spot, those left hook curlers. He has these beautiful low kind of bending shots. A lot of his goals and highlights you see coming inside to his left. So he's very aggressive there, very tenacious, and also has that technical ability and pizzazz. But interesting point, like you mentioned, Liga MX it has fallen off. Club America is a fantastic team historically, but in terms of the competition, I think it might have been Puebla, the team they played, and some of those other teams, you can even see the changing the tides with MLS. It's just hard to gauge. So I think he's right. I said turning 25, could make a move over to Europe. Maybe not a top 4 league per se, but maybe kind of in that Eredivisie or Belgium kind of tier, and test himself there. I think that's still a viable option, but it's just hard to judge. And I think that's something, for all players, right? That they want to get to that European step and that next level. So yeah, we'll see him. Time will tell. A late bloomer. He continues to blossom there in Liga MX, but like you said, it's just hard to judge. And it will be interesting to see him mixed with the USMNT group now and how he can take this play, right, translate that play into national teams. So only time will tell.
Yeah, and I think the one thing too about Liga MX and what I was trying to, I guess, say about him earlier is I think there's a level of grittiness, that comes with playing in that league, and
right.
I think it's apparent in his game too, right? You see him going in for tackles and taking on challenges, right, and going by people and not being afraid to take a bump from time to time and try and get bumped off the ball. I think that's something that's really positive, because in MLS, I feel like that's not really the case, right? It's not super gritty. It's a little bit more casual, I guess. I don't know exactly how to explain the difference, but I think that's definitely something that's apparent, and could play a role in his development and add something to our team that maybe we're missing right now, which I don't think we're a super gritty team. So
yeah, a little bit of that grit, that technical flair, and I think that would have been really helpful, especially against like that Dutch team we were playing, just to add somebody like that, right?
Yeah.
Back to the scenarios, what if? But again, Weah, Reyna company, Pulisic, fantastic wingers, but to have somebody like that, a little bit different profile, would have been really unique.
Yeah. So, I guess that's all for Alejandro. Excited to see more of him this week. And now we're going to move over to England and talk about Chris Richards, who had a big week in his own right. So Chris actually got his first Premier League start earlier during the week, and it was against Man United of all teams, right? So I think he even tweeted out a picture after the game of him, as like a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, maybe even a little younger than that, in a Man United kit. So
that's pretty
kind of coming full circle, and it's pretty crazy to see. So yeah, Chris started in this game, played all 90 minutes, and Crystal Palace actually got the 1-1 draw versus United, and he looked good. I think his biggest moment came when he was defending against Marcus Rashford on a nice run. I know that highlight kind of circulated around Twitter a little bit, but it was really just good timing and patience to stick with Rashford and do a great job defending him.
Right.
He did have one.
Was Anthony too, Austin. Not as popular, but I think he went toe to toe with the Brazilian as well. Yeah,
that's true. He had a nice slide tackle, right?
Yeah, keeping up with those United players, it's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, they're playing really well right now, so it was kind of cool to see him be a part of them getting a point against them.
Seriously.
The one moment that was a little shaky, and I think he lucked out based on what the replay showed, but there was some questions raised on a challenge he had against Scott McTominay later on in the game. And he just kind of misjudged his timing a little bit and stepped late to a ball in the box that, McTominay was driving forward with. Again, it went to VAR. He didn't get called for the penalty, but it looked to me like, I don't know, it just looked off, right? He did get a little bit of the ball, I think, in closer review, but definitely not, the best timing on his part. But again, they lucked out and were able to come away with with a point from the game. Right. And then, yeah, real quick, Pat, this weekend, he also got the start. So great to see him, rack up consistent starts here and get some more consistent minutes. And this time it was against Newcastle, and Crystal Palace got a 0-0 draw. So another point against two of the top teams right now in the Premier League. And yeah, that really helps him out, in his case for more minutes this season.
Yeah, not much more to add there, Austin, just other than I'm so glad he's healthy. Another player, right, that common theme in our pool, just stay healthy, continue to progress and perform. You've watched him so much in the Bundesliga and going up, right, the academy route all the way up now until seeing him at Palace. So it was tough. He didn't come in as a starter there, right? He's been hurt, but Palace is, I think it's Anderson, right, hadn't been performing, very well, and now he's taking his chance, right, and locked in really strong performances and might be able to hold that spot down. So Palace as well has really progressed fairly well. They haven't really been in that relegation battle in a while. They've been a consistent kind of mid or maybe top 10 team, or that 11th or 12th place, pretty comfortable. And they haven't really been in that Leeds situation, I guess I should say. They're kind of like that next tier above. I think that Leeds needs to get to. And I think it's just a great place for him to develop. He's being pressured 99% of the time. Palace isn't keeping the ball, but they also have some quality countering. So how quickly can he break the lines down, get it to his midfielders or wingers or Zaha and company, right? They have some PC guys up top. So it's a really great place to continue to develop and the best league in the world that you could argue. So, that's really all I have to say about Richards, Austin. But, I'm happy he was able to take a point off United in Newcastle, and maybe they can pick up some wins against the bottom half of the league.
Yeah, I think they're in a good spot. They have some players like you talked about that could really help them, take that next level, secure a top 10 finish this year, and who knows, maybe challenge for Europa League position next year.
Conference League
or Conference League. That's right. Yeah, that's also a possibility too. So, I think going forward for Chris over this next, 6 to 12 months, I think, again, consistency is a big thing, right? So getting consistent playing time, showing that he can defend consistently against, Premier League attackers, I think that'll be big for him. And then also staying healthy, like you talked about, Pat. That's the biggest thing right now is he just hasn't been able to stay healthy for a full season. So I think he really needs to try and, do his best. And obviously injuries, can only be helped so much. It's, sometimes they're freak accidents and happen, but,
right.
I think that's the biggest thing is just for him to stay healthy this spring. And then a few real quick things, Pat. So again, from some of the highlights and just watching some of his game time this season, I really think you're seeing what he's good at, right? Passing has always been a strength of his game, and it's really translated to the Premier League. I think he's looked very comfortable on the ball, very comfortable passing in a lot of different situations. And
absolutely.
I think that's really positive. The one area, actually there's two areas I think he really needs to also focus on the pitch and getting better is his decision-making and physicality. So you saw with that penalty, almost penalty, I guess, this weekend or this past week, again, trying to make a better decision, maybe defend that a little bit differently next time, and be smarter about when to step in, when to slide tackle, all those good things, making good decisions, when to get upfield more, right? But also physicality is another one too. And I think that comes with more game time, right? Premier League, super physical league. Chris Richards has the body and the frame to be physical, but I feel like at sometimes he's just a little too passive. Not all the time, but in some situations. So I think that's also something else he can look to improve upon, in his time playing in the Premier League. It's a great opportunity for him.
Yeah. I think those are two great areas of improvement, Austin, and certainly things that he can work on. We've seen him, again, continue to progress and develop, and that's definitely not out of his wheelhouse or skill set at all.
Very true.
Keep monitoring that, Austin, and I guess we'll shift over right to the Camp Cupcake. We need to talk about that, right?
Did you bring cupcakes for us today, Pat?
They're right over here. They're right over here next to my Champions League trophy and whatnot on the wall. Yeah, but the U.S. men's national team, Austin, 24 players called up for the January camp. Kind of that build-up, right, for 2026. It's on to the next cycle, which we're hosting with Mexico and Canada. So we're playing Serbia. We're filming this on Monday, so the 25th, and then Colombia on the 28th. So we have some interesting assortment of players, some returnees, some of those MLS vets, right? You have your Zimmermans, your Ariolas, who missed out on the World Cup. Frere is also included there. Aaron Long, who I didn't really want to see, but maybe it's a farewell, as the tactical manager says, farewell tour. But then some interesting midfielders and forwards and even keepers, right, Austin? And I know we can work our way up, and I want to get your thoughts on the roster and how you're feeling, but some guys that haven't been capped yet. So yeah, I know Europe's in full swing, right? MLS is still off. Liga MX just started, but it's a strange period, right? In a what's the term? It's not like an official FIFA window, I think, right? So clubs aren't required to release any players, but some interesting names here.
Yeah, and how do you want to go about it, Pat? Do you want to just go kind of position group by position group and look at a few of these names?
Yeah. Let's start, like you said, from the back and then just work our way up. And
okay. Yeah, so I guess goalkeeper is an interesting one, right? So only 3 goalkeepers on this roster, and the big one that I'm excited to see is Gaga, right? I'm a big Gaga fan. I'm excited for his future. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, when we did our draft a little while back. So I'm excited to see him. I don't know what game time he'll get, to be honest, because Sean Johnson's out of contract, and part of me thinks that we're going to play him to get him some game time and exposure, but we'll see. And Roman Celentano is another player I didn't hear much about, to be honest. I'm not too familiar with him, so I don't know. If he's another option to look at. I know Matt Turner was not a name that people knew about. I know I didn't really know about him until he really kind of got some consistent play time and call-ups from us. So yeah, you never know. I think he's also another college guy, right? And there are some highlights that have gone around that show he's clearly a talented keeper. So yeah, is there someone from the goalkeeper pool you're excited to see?
I'm with you. I'm excited for Gaga. I don't know how much we're going to see of him, but the positive news just from Chelsea, how he's developing, right? Getting settled over there and just the excitement around him still. It'd be great to see him get some cameo time. But yeah, I think maybe Johnson will be vying for some employment. Get some auditions here at the national team. And like you said, just the rise Turner had to convert to Celentano, you never know. Keepers especially have such a different timeline compared to the rest of soccer players. So, 28, 29 beyond is when they really start to come into form in early 30s, maybe into their prime. So, completely open to anything after what we saw for Turner. I didn't really even know Turner very well, to be honest, when he was on the Revolution. Yeah,
no, that's fair. Do you want to talk about defenders real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. So read the list, Austin. Jonathan Gomez, Real Sociedad. That's an interesting one, right? That he was able to come here, just being part of the B squad. Still hasn't made his way up, and if he was with the first team, they definitely wouldn't have released him. Something to maybe think about. Julian Gressel as well. We can talk about that. You're getting that American citizenship, the German. DeJuan Jones. A lot of calls for him actually previous to the World Cup to give him a shot. So that's intriguing to me. And then a few others, right? Aaron Long, Jalen Neal, Sam Rogers, Rosenberg, John Tolkien, who's been talked about with New York Red Bulls, and then we have Walker Zimmerman, the old head, right, from Nashville. So aside from the regulars, Austin, I'm excited to see DeJuan Jones just because of a lot of hype that's been around him. Tolkien as well. There's been a lot of talk on him recently, and then Jonathan Gomez, just to see what's going on. Maybe Sociedad, it's just a tough shell to crack for now, but maybe he can prove it on the national stage of the U.S. and maybe we can solidify his, his choice, right? Moving forward, if he does well in camp and likes the atmosphere and whatnot. But what are your thoughts on some of these defenders?
Yeah, I think, it's a really intriguing group. A lot of storylines, right? A lot of different, I guess stages that these players are in, right? I feel like you got, Jalen Neal, who hasn't really, broke through at the Galaxy just yet. And then you got Walker Zimmerman and Aaron Long, who are, pretty much veterans at this point. So, really interesting group. I think Julian Gressel is another one that's exciting to see. I struggle to really find a long-term, position for him with us. I think, again, if we play a system going forward, that prioritizes a wing back in some capacity, I think he could be a great like-for-like switch with maybe a Serginho Dest. But when you talk about straight right back, I don't know. It stinks because I don't think he's necessarily the strongest option there. And I don't think he's the strongest option as a right winger either, or a, right midfielder. So
stuck in between per se.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him in our colors. And, I think he's a talented player. I think he's shown that in his time at MLS, but I feel like we might just have to see how he can work his way in. And then one player I'm really excited to see more of, and I'm curious to see kind of, what pairing we go with starting out here in these friendlies. But Sam Rogers, Sam Rogers is a player who's been toiling away in Norway and has gotten a lot of consistent playing time, has really become a key player for Rosenborg from what we understand. So I think he's someone that, again, maybe not right now, getting a spot for the first team USMNT team. But I think someone that has potential, right? He's still pretty young. So let's say he gets a move this summer to a bigger league. Maybe you see him follow the path of like Haji Wright and kind of work his way up the leagues.
Can't rule anything out.
And kind of make a go of it. Again, center back is another position that kind of, later in their careers, you see it with Tim Ream, you can find success. So I think he's another one to kind of keep an ey on from this group.
And it's a great shout. Great shout. And just shifting to the midfielders, going through, we have two Paxtons to start with. One, Paxton Aronson, brother Brendan.
One with an E, one with an O. Don't mess it up.
Exactly. And in Austin, we have Paul McCall, right, from FC Dallas. Aiden Morris, interesting name. We haven't heard from a bit. Alan Sonora, I know we're excited about that one.
Another interesting name. Yeah.
Old one Acosta. Don't really know him. No, I'm just kidding. We know him. And then Eric Williamson, who had that horrible injury and really a shot was taken away from him. So a few names I'm intrigued about. It seems like a very industrial, hardworking midfield. What are your thoughts? Who's kind of the first one or two players that comes to mind from your end?
So I think the two that I'm really excited to see are the two Paxtons. So Paxton Aronson, I was a little disappointed to see on this roster, to be honest. I was kind of hoping that Frankfurt maybe were able to get him acclimated and into their first team there for this spring. And obviously it could still happen after this camp. But I'm just really excited to see more of him. Again, I thought last year, in his cameos in MLS, I thought he looked really good. Again, watching him in MLS Cup, just kind of the impact he had when he came into that game, I really thought he looked mature.
That's a hard team to break into. Number one, or number two team.
Sure.
And
the Union are good. Yeah, they're a deep team. So I really think he's better than maybe the game time he's gotten. So that's why I'm really excited to see him in these games and, see what he can do. Paxton Pomykal. So I kind of talked with you about this off camera, Pat, a little bit. I think, again, if we play a higher pressing system, I think Paxton Pomykal could be a great, backup midfielder, kind of like Kellen Acosta was this last cycle. Someone, again, who's an all-action midfielder, right, is not afraid to put in a tackle, work hard for the team, also has some quality getting forward, right, and making some good choices passing the ball. We didn't hear too much from him last year, right? The FC Dallas team, had some success, but he really wasn't,
he had that horrible injury and then hasn't really gotten back to his best.
Yeah, but I don't think he's been bad, right? He was a pretty consistent player and starter for FC Dallas last year. So I don't know. I'm just excited to see him get an opportunity again. I really like the way he plays. I like his personality. I know he's done a lot of personality pieces for FC Dallas, and I really just think he's a fun dude. So I'm a big fan of his. And then the final one, Pat, is Alan Sonora, right? We haven't really gotten to see too much of him, at least recently, since he's out of contract now. And yeah, we finally called him in, right? I feel like we've been calling for this for over a year. So it's great to see, the Federation, also prioritize him and see him as an option.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Yeah, I don't have too much more to add because I agree with every one of your points.
I took all your players. I'm sorry.
You took all my players. I guess just Eric Williamson. I just a story of, he was coming along in terms of, I don't know if it's the Gold Cup or Nations League, a few appearances here, and maybe obviously not a lock start or anything, but just a horrible injury, the timing of everything. It's great to see him also get a chance back because, again, before the injury, he's playing very, very well. And I think a guy, a little bit older, but could have made a jump maybe to Europe or moved on. He was really elevating his game. So it was just a sad injury and kind of happy from that, story or perspective. So I want to give a shout to him. But forwards, Austin, I think from my end, I'm most excited about this group. We have the old head Ariola, right? Jesus Ferreira, the Dallas guys. But I think Cade Cowell, interesting, right? From San Jose, Hoppy, Middlesbrough, really struggling. So interesting to see him back with the group. Maybe he just needs this as a renaissance revival there. And then you have Emmanuel Sabi, who he's been a Yah since day one.
An OG.
Yeah, guys, on our channel. And then the last two, right? I mean, we covered Alejandro Zendejas during our main points here on the show. And then you have Brandon Vasquez from FC Cincinnati, the Mexican-Americans there. So I think those two are the last. I want to see Vasquez and I want to say Zendejas on the field together. I think that the connection, the way they play, Zendejas on the wing, Vasquez right at 9 at the top. I think they'd have some really good dynamic playing combinations and would really just threaten, Serbia and Colombia's back lines. So I'm very excited about those players in particular. And then, I want to get your thoughts too. But the last on my tangent and ramble here, Austin Hoppy, I'm very perplexed by him. I can't figure him out because he's looked fairly good from his Gold Cup appearances, but just hasn't gotten it done on the club level. So throwing it to you, who are some of your players, or what are your thoughts on some of the guys that I listed?
Yeah, I was going to say, you were just saying how you think you could play for Middlesbrough U21.
Yeah. Easy. I gotta stretch my hammies a little bit more and I'll be running circles.
Yeah, no, Hoppy is definitely someone who's a bit curious, right? Like the way he broke into the Schalke first team was a little bit out of left field and, got his move to Mallorca and didn't really do much there. So I'm curious to see if he can kind of, find some form here in this camp or just showcase his talent and show us that he still has it. I think the big one for me is Cade Cowell. I'm a huge Cade Cowell fan. I know some people out there think he's, the next Jordan Morris. I don't agree with that at all. I think he's got, more ability, more technical ability than Jordan Morris even has right now, personally. I do think he's got a lot, to still work on in his game, but he's young. He's got the frame, that not many other players have.
Awesome. A lot of chatter,
man. A lot of chatter. So I'm a big fan of his. I think, again, we'll see what his best position is. I know he's kind of bounced around, right? He started out as, a striker, center forward. Now he's playing primarily on the wing. I think he could also be someone that's, an outside back or wing back or something of the sort. I really think, again, just the way he plays, his playing style, his body frame, could benefit from maybe a move further back. But with that being said, I think he's just a very explosive player, right? He's someone that can blow by people, take advantage of counters and, transition play. So I'm just excited to see a little bit more of him. I think, again, for him, his goal should be, getting off to a quick start in MLS this year. Hopefully he's put in the good work in this offseason here and hope to make a move this summer. I really think that needs to be his goal if he wants to reach, his highest level. So, excited for him as well. So, with all that being said, the USMNT have 2 games this week, right? So The first game actually is what, Wednesday night?
Yeah,
Wednesday night, January 25th, 10 p.m. Eastern time. So late start here. They're playing in LA, and it's USA versus Serbia. So, interesting challenge. I don't think this is going to be, this isn't going to be close to the Serbian first team. So,
especially with the European season underway.
Yeah, just excited to see our guys play against, a European opponent. It's also interesting, and I don't want to go on too much of a rant here, Pat, how these games are being streamed, right? So this game's on HBO Max, NBC Universo, and Peacock. So, hopefully you guys have one of those three streaming devices. And then the second game of our two friendlies here is USA versus Colombia. That'll be Saturday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. This will be streamed on TNT, Telemundo, and Peacock as well. So, like I said, hopefully you have one of those, three for each game. If you have Peacock, I guess you're the real winner, and saving all that hard-earned cash, right, Pat?
Yeah, right. Just buy 1 million streaming services for whatever games. Next they'll have the World Cup games on the Discovery Channel or something.
Yeah, right.
It's just HBO. I doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
But, I guess
so what are you going to look at in these games, real quick?
Yeah.
Before we move on to quick kicks, is there something you want to see as a takeaway from both these games with the team we just talked about?
It's so hard because of the coaching, the players called in, just the timing of everything. I just want to see, again, a lot of the players that I think that we mentioned that are on the radar and the fringe take their shots, really, really put full forward effort, friendly, quote unquote, friendly game, but I want to see some aggression. I want to see some good crunching tackles, winning the 50-50s, good combination play, and just going for it too, I don't want to see a conservative team. I want to see us press high. I want to see guys win the ball back higher up the pitch and finish on their chances. So I'm fully expecting to get 2 wins, Austin, or a win and a draw at minimum. I don't want to see any, 1-0 losses or 0-0 games. What are your thoughts?
I'll be honest, Pat. I kind of am going a different way. I really don't care about the results, to be honest. Like I just think, again, playing a half strength if that Serbian team, and, probably the same for Colombia with players that, again, I think, this camp's made up of players that are kind of competing for maybe some of those fringe spots. If we look at our, best strength lineup, right? And best strength 23. So
there's no chemistry or cohesion, but if they're taking their chances, Austin, they're going to put the ball in the net.
That's right. And that's, I guess, the biggest thing is just seeing some of that cohesion, seeing some nice play. I think we got some really interesting players, again, that we want to just get a second look at, right? And some, see them in a different situation than they're playing for their club teams. So that's the biggest thing for me. At the end of the day, I'm sure we'll all be upset about results. That always happens, right? We'll always be disappointed if it doesn't go exactly the way we want. But at the end of the day, again, this is our first window after the World Cup. We've got 4 more years to build. So, hey, man, Anthony Hudson's here for the long haul, dude. He's going to be our coach in 2026.
Oh, great. And we'll be like, Greg, please come back.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. I don't think there'll ever be a situation where I'm saying that, but I guess time will tell. Well, with that being said, guys, I think now we're going to head over to quick kicks. Well, guys, welcome to Quick Kicks. And today I have 2 quick kicks for you. So the first one is Josh Sargent. Just want to give a quick shout to him, scoring another goal this weekend in Norwich City's 4-2 win over Coventry City. And new manager over there with David Wagner. It seems like Norwich are back to playing well again. And Josh was a big contributor this weekend. And then the other player I want to give a shout to is Ricardo Pepi. So not the best game from Groningen this weekend. They lost 3-1 actually to Heerenveen, but Pepi got an assist on their goal. That brings his tally to 6 goals and 3 assists in 12 games. So again, just continuing to produce. I think, again, we'll see where things lie after the spring season here, or spring portion of the season. Right. But overall, I think he's again taking care of business and showcasing his talent for the most part.
Yeah, it's hard in a team like that, right? in terms of the quality.
It's a little brutal, not gonna lie. Yeah, the team's not the best.
The grind, but good for him, Austin. And I guess I got 2 quick kicks. Start with Luca de la Torre over in La Liga, finally getting his first start since moving there. It's been a grind, Austin, for Celta Vigo. They did lose 1-0 to Mallorca. He played 68 minutes. Didn't do anything bad, but also wasn't an amazing performance. Nonetheless, hopefully he continues to break into the lineup, get a little bit more playing time under his belt, get more comfortable. But he's had really good praise from his teammates, the media, how well he's been training to get to this spot. So hopefully this is the turnaround. But just a note that Celta Vigo are only 1 point above relegation, so something to look out for. Number 2, awesome, Timo Weah. I guess the apparent new left back for Lille, which is very interesting because he's been playing fantastic. And even this game, the Coupe de France, a 2-0 win for Lille, Weah again playing in this position and playing very well. Now, obviously, I think in an interview he said it doesn't really like it there, but he'll do whatever for the team. He's happy the team's winning. He's in a way getting comfortable to it, and he can also playing those fullbacks how Lille does higher up the pitch. He does get up quite a bit, but very unfamiliar territory for him still. There's also rumors Austin Sevilla, Mönchengladbach had been circling around for him in the market potentially, but Lille is so happy with him and they are refusing to let him leave until maybe the summer or beyond. But they're very, very happy with him being finally healthy and performing very well, getting on the pitch and starting. He is starting, but it's just not his preferred position.
Well, thanks for watching our video today, guys. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel down below.
That's right. And don't forget social media, Instagram, Twitter. We're here to argue. No, I'm just kidding. Not argue, debate, have fun, put out some great content for our guys coming up in this 2026 cycle.
That's right. And yeah, this episode's also available in podcast form on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. So go check us out there. Please leave us a review. We really appreciate it.
That's right. And Austin, of Gio's celebrations, which is your favorite and which do you want to see when he scores the game winner for that 2026 World Cup game?
Ooh, so I'll go with the classic, man. I like the shush. I think it's yeah, I don't know. I think it gets the job done.
I like the shush. I just find this I don't know why. A lot of players, I think that's just hilarious too. But all good ones, Austin. All good ones, and great to see a lot of the players performing well, all healthy. I'm knocking on wood here for 2023, but it's been a pretty good start.
Yeah. I mean, this past weekend was probably the best weekend we've had in a long time. So
absolutely.
Hopefully we keep those good results and, good goal contributions going. And yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, right? That and staying healthy for our players is kind of the most important, ways they can do well right now. So
playing well, staying healthy will only lead to one thing.
That's right, baby. That means one day we will win the World Cup.